Hello, everyone. Welcome to the best and worst of Walt Disney World, brought to you by DreamsUnlimitedTravel.com and DisBoards.com. I am your host, Rhino Clavin, and in this week's episode, we're going to be talking about the worst on-ride photo ops at Walt Disney World. And to help me have this conversation, we've got Corey Fiascanaro.
Hey, guys.
Denny Sunderley.
Hi there.
And Craig Williams.
Ahoy, ahoy.
All right, we're diving right in. If you remember, we did the episode before this was the best on-ride photo spots. Mm-hmm. I really should end on a positive note. I feel like I'm going to start reversing it. And now I've really kind of put myself in a corner, and I can't do that in this episode. So,
well, when somebody says, "Do you want the best? You want to hear the good news or the bad news first?"
Like the
Don't you want?
First,
yeah,
right?
You want the bad news.
Yeah. Next time we'll do. Maybe we won't even have a worse next time. But we're going to dive right in here, and this was kind of maybe a surprising one that we came to, but I feel like it was a valid argument. Tower of Terror at Hollywood Studios, we have decided was one of the worst ones. I think that you can have good photo ops here, like if you get a good group of people on there, but I think it can be very easily ruined by the people sitting around you.
Right, yeah, so we talked a lot, well, not a lot, we talked briefly in the last episode about being in a photo op with a lot of strangers, and that might make you not want to, have that photo or utilize that photo. And this is along with that. There's almost in every situation, you're going to be in this ride of people you don't know, which isn't really a problem. But when you want to take home a souvenir or a memento, it can be. And, having multiple different people, they could be doing things that you don't want them to do in the photos too. Like you guys were talking about, you had a little fun Tower of Terror photo, I think you were saying.
It was not Tower of Terror because I don't like Tower of Terror that much. It was Guardians of the Galaxy in California.
Okay. So Tower of Terror.
But it is the same type of a photo op, and I gave the photo to Pete because it was the time he had first ridden that, and we wrote it together. And so one year for like Christmas or his birthday or something, I framed the photo and gave it to him. And then 2 years later, we're in the living room, and Craig is looking at the photo, and he's like, I am noticing something about this photo I've never noticed before. And one of the things we were looking at is like, Craig's in the photo too, but he's not sitting with us, so I don't know how that ended up happening, but there was a nip slip. From a man. A gentleman had pulled up his shirt. He was in the front row. So if you're watching this, it comes up about the way it does on the screen here. Yeah. That it was like this weird, it just was just low enough in the photo and off to the side that you're not drawn to it, but the longer you see, it's like this weird, I don't know, this like painting that you're discovering things in as you stare at it. But
my goodness.
Yeah, so now Pete's got a framed picture of that nip slip in his
amazing.
Yeah.
Happy birthday.
This attraction more than others, I feel like you get the ruined photo, not because of necessarily the behavior of other people doing something bad, causing it to not show up, but that has happened before. I want to say it was Corey, the first time he took Ferris on it, they wanted the photo of it, and it was ruined because someone did something inappropriate. Wow. Or another one that happens very often with this is everyone throws their hands up, and inevitably you're going to be sitting right behind someone's arm and your face is blocked. Or if you do have a younger kid or you're just a shorter person yourself, then if there's a tall person sitting in front of you, then you're going to end up being blocked by them too. It's
Craig Williams is in front of you. You heard it right there.
Yeah, I love sitting in the front row, but I know that I'm probably blocking a lot of people if I am in there. So, and I don't ever raise my arms on it anymore just because I've been that person who's had it ruined when you throw your hands up. I don't want to be that.
I never even understand why on this ride people are raising their arms. I get it, like I guess like a roller coaster. I'm like, I want to be holding on to dear life. I want to be holding that seat when the elevator falls faster than I do. I get it. You float, whatever.
I'm an arm raiser. I will admit it. My hands are in the air the entire time during that.
I just keep my hands on my lap. I'm not holding on, and I'm also not, you get the same thrill out of it as putting your arms up.
Very politely, collectively sitting there and going, good drop.
I'm usually reading a novel.
Yeah.
Of course you are.
Today's
Jane Austen.
paper, some sort of thing.
Wall Street Journal.
With my pipe.
Yeah.
During that ride, I tend to be in the position that is in the gift shop over.
Oh, yeah.
It's a good gift shop.
The next one that we have on here, and Craig actually was the one who made a good point about this, is the Space Mountain photo op, which is on the newer side still, but I thought about it where I was like, oh, well, I get some good photos because you go down the tunnel and the photo op is right when you make the first bank, like the first time you get whipped around in the ride, but before the ride really, really starts. And I was thinking that he made a point about you might not know what side you're on, and if it's your first time, you definitely don't know where the photo op is, and it happens so quickly and suddenly. But also, I am usually on the left side of that ride. And so this did happen to me recently. I was on the other side, so I was completely thrown about the photo.
Yeah, I've been with people who have ridden it multiple times, and they still end up looking the wrong way for the photo op. And it's just, it is a great opportunity to make a fun, goofy face, but it's just, they have to do it in a place where there's still a little bit of light. Because once you get deep into the attraction, there's not a lot of room. Disneyland has the same problem. Theirs is like right at the final end of the attraction in a terrible place too. It's Space Mountain is not conducive to having a good photo pass point for it. And, I'm glad they tried, but it just doesn't work.
It is fun to try to coordinate it with your family if you can figure out, okay, what side are you on, and so therefore where's the camera. It's fun to kind of conspire about what kind of poses you want to do before you get on the ride.
It does land you in that weird scenario too, because Space Mountain is a front to back, so it's 3 and 3.
Yeah.
So the photo is only 3, and oftentimes, if you're in that perfect group of 4, that usually it feels like everything's designed for here. Somebody's missing, and they're in somebody else's photo op, And sometimes you get the 3, or you get the 2, and the 1 person. I think it could become one of your favorites. Well, the more you learn it, but I think as a first timer, it's It's not one that I feel like you're going to leave with, One that I think is terrible, and I have no idea where it is in the attraction still to this day, Haunted Mansion.
Yeah. Everybody's always just like looking off in the distance. They look like ghosts. Everybody, because you don't know when it's happening.
They make it black and white too, right?
They make it black and white in the Doom Buggy, and like it's always everybody like. I love this attraction. All my friends love this attraction, but everybody on my My Disney Experience app, friends and family, everybody always looks so miserable. They never look like they're having fun. They're always just like,
yeah.
And I think it's because maybe of where the PhotoPass location is. I don't even
Do you guys know
where it is.
Yeah.
I don't.
It is in the first hallway as you start moving down, where as the lightning flashes, it changes the paintings. The final one with the Medusa, that's where it's at, and it's like an extra bright flash.
Yep. Exactly. And so you are intently looking at something. You're looking at the paintings that are changing in the black light. So
I mean, I don't know if Craig brought it up in the last episode or this episode. I think it was in the last episode, the best on-ride photos. But the fun thing about the photos is when they catch you in that exciting moment. And it's kind of like the great thing about like Haunted Mansion and stuff like that is it's a nice slow-moving omnimover where you're not really going to have the, whoa, like a ghost. Also not at that part because there's no ghost. You're not like, wow, look at these lighting effects, guys. Look at it. I just, it's one of those where it didn't need the photo op. I'd rather it have been something where maybe you were coming to the end and when the 3 hitchhiking ghosts, like the mirrors are for that, like maybe at the last one it was like smile, and at the end it had like 2 of them on the top and one hanging from the car or something.
Because like when you go past that point too, like I like to play with the ghosts and like be like, I gotcha.
Yeah.
But on a previous episode we did when we did the best and worst of Haunted Mansion, one of the things that everybody was adamant about being the worst is that split point when you're finally about to get on the ride. And it would make sense that everybody looks miserable because it's right at the front of the ride and they had just
sat down.
Conquered the split point. And like that part is, if you've been on Haunted Mansion, very hectic and stressful trying to figure, because it's like 3 rows of people converge into one and you got to figure out who's going in, and we cut off your family, and then you get on the ride and it takes a minute to finally be like, got past that point. But
well, the next one on this list is Frozen Ever After at Epcot, and that is because it's frozen. No, I actually completely forgot there was even a photo op on this. When does this happen in the ride?
Gosh.
Is it with Marshmallow?
Yeah, right?
Yeah,
I think that's when I remember a flash, and that's I'm like...
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But it is another one of those... Well, I guess that is like the exciting point where you're going down the waterfall, but it's like, why?
And this
I don't know.
it's like, it's good if you're going to encounter that issue where there's going to be lots of other people in your ride photo. And it's particularly good if you are in the front row. But like, for example, me and my friends went on this ride and we all made like funny dab moves. And if you're a family who just waited 2 hours, and I'm sorry if you're a family that just waited 2 hours in line for Frozen and wanted that ride photo, and you have a bunch of people doing this in the front row, and now you don't want the photo, but we did that, and you could definitely encounter that.
You heard it here, guys. Fiasco ruins on-ride photos. There is now proof. Well, I think the all-time worst ride photo, I think we're pretty much in agreement on this, is the addition of an on-ride photo at Pirates of the Caribbean.
So unnecessary.
It's
unnecessary.
Also just like in such a like I get the idea of where it is, because so they have the talking skeleton head that's off to the side, and that hasn't always been here at Walt Disney World, and it's like, why?
When he starts speaking and it's not loud enough to really be able to catch everything that he's saying.
What's
so you're
that guy
kind of
talking about,
dazed and confused looking up at the skull, and then it flashes, and it's so dark in that attraction. So the flash happens and you're half blind going down the hill.
Right. And it's I get why it's there, I guess, because the lightning is on the other side where the gentleman is,
steering the boat in the rocks.
working his afterlife.
But that's also the problem too. If you're in like the first or second row, then by that point that the photo gets taken, you're already looking forward. But if you're in the back rows, you're still looking at the skeleton, and it's so then you have a photo of you looking off to the wrong side of where they take your photo. It is so goofy.
I also have issues with 3, maybe 4 out of 5 of these rides, because you have to be wearing a magic band to get the photo too. But it's also like, I think they added it just to be like, look what photos you're getting if you have an annual pass or you bought the memory maker. Yeah. Like, it's such a value. And you're like, yeah, but it's crap. So I don't want it. Sorry for that harsh poop language.
It's not even really for annual pass holders. This is the upsell on Memory Maker for all your families coming in with your vacation package. Add on Memory Maker to it too, and you're going to wear the magic bands around. You've bought into the doctrine of the magic band and My Disney Experience, and you're going full force with that. So it makes sense in the long scheme of things. And again, annual pass holders, we get our photos with it, and if you're at the certain tier, and up silver doesn't get it, right?
Right.
Gold and above.
Right. Yeah, I think so.
I don't care for it either. I know I'm on your side with it.
Oh,
it's not going to be a keepsake, and that's the problem with the ones here on the worst list. You want your on-ride attraction photos to be a keepsake, because this is your happy place, and you want to. I mean, we've had pictures from back in the day that I still have framed pictures, those special things. I just don't know that any of these worst list ones are going to be that
maybe
keepsake.
Like Tower, if you're doing a big family group and you're like, oh, this was the ride where we could get the big group photo together, But you make a really good point about that, because I've been to like friends' houses randomly, like back home, and I'll be like, oh, that's a Splash Mountain photo. Like, I didn't know you went to Disney. And they're like, yeah, that was 20 years ago, whatever, and I'm like, oh.
And just an honorable mention, because they're not on-ride photos. But Denny just made me think of something. For the keepsakes, I think a really good thing to do is if you do a character breakfast, do it in front of the character breakfast, like right there with the sign and everything. That's what my family always did. We have photos framed. I got 2 of them in my apartment here in Florida now of character breakfast experiences that we did on vacations, and I really like those. So.
Cool.
Well, there you have it. That is the worst on-ride photo ops at Walt Disney World. If you feel like, so that was Pirates of the Caribbean, Frozen Ever After, Haunted Mansion, Space Mountain, and Tower of Terror. If you feel like we were incorrect, or you think we have some that should be on this list that we missed, please let us know. If you're watching, you can do that in the comments below. And if you are watching on YouTube and you enjoy enjoy this content, subscribe to the channel, click the bell button. You'll get notified whenever we upload any great content. Excuse me, my computer wants me to enter passwords. I refuse to. We hope that this video could help you plan a better vacation. And remember, if you need any help booking your next Walt Disney World vacation, you can head over to dreamsunlimitedtravel.com, and one of the experts, agents over there, can get you started. So thank you, everybody, for having this conversation. Thank you, everyone, for listening and watching, and we will see you next time with another episode of the best and worst of Walt Disney World.